Ready? We'll call the Carlisle Village Council meeting to order. Would everyone please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Bicknell?
Here.
Mr. Jewett? Mr. McEldowney?
Here.
Mr. McIntosh?
Here.
Ms. Tankersley?
Here.
Mr. Humphries?
Here.
Mayor Winkler?
Here. Mr. Jewett is sick this evening. He texted me around 6 o'clock and said he was at the doctor, treated for the flu, and asked council to excuse him this evening. We have a motion to excuse Mr. Jewett. Ms. Tankersley?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Ms. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mr. Bicknell?
Yes.
Mr. Humphries?
Yes.
Mr. McEldowney?
Yes.
Mayor Winkler?
Yes, as presented. Hearing none, do we have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Mr. Bicknell. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Tankersley? Roll call.
Ms. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. McEldowney?
Yes.
Mr. Humphries?
Yes.
Mr. Bicknell?
Yes.
Mayor Winkler?
Yes. Regular minutes of January 9th has been adopted. Next on our agenda is our public forum. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address council this evening? Seeing none, we'll close the public forum. We'll move on to council reports. Mr. Humphries, would you like to start this evening?
Well, thank you. I would like to entertain the opportunity to add 3 to 5 seconds to this light when it's tripped coming from either Lomar or Jamaica. There's a lot more activity coming that way to avoid the intersection at the bank in Sunoco due to that high traffic area. And it just seems like a lot of people are not getting to get to that light due to it not being triggered long enough.
So just to clarify, so when you're coming either from Lomar or Jamaica, you wanted to,
Stay green 3 to 5 seconds longer if possible. Obviously, I wouldn't want anyone to have that done on purpose, but maybe during maintenance time, between now and then, have it looked at.
okay,
A second, I'd like to ask if it would be possible to entertain connecting our meetings to our social media Facebook page, please. So we're starting to get a little bit of traffic there, and Facebook just seems to be some place that more people are at than actually going to the site itself.
so just to clarify, you said connect the meetings, you mean just have, when
A
meetings are
thread.
uploaded, just to let,
Yes,
on,
please.
okay.
That's what I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Tankersley?
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McIntosh?
Just one thing real quick. We will be having our council retreat this weekend. We've bounced around a few ideas. I'd like to just encourage everyone to have some more narrow discussion topics this weekend, more than just the broad topics that we've already discussed. Have some actual details and thoughts, and try to just garner some really good conversation this weekend. And have some goals for 2018 that we can actually accomplish and check off our list. In the past, we've not always followed through on all of them, so I'd like to have maybe a smaller set of goals that we can be sure to cross off our list and move on. So if everyone could please be ready to have some good conversation and discussion topics this weekend, I'd appreciate it. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McEldowney?
Just like to, we did our reorganization after our council reports last meeting, so I'd like to thank this council for the confidence and trust in me to serve as deputy mayor. And then I would also like to thank the citizens who have decided to pursue active roles on our village boards, and also thank new individuals who have stepped up to serve. It is appreciated, and we appreciate your service to the community, and that is all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bicknell?
I know on Friday, this past Friday, they had donations for Matthew Harrison again at the varsity football game. Evidently, through some of his chemo treatment, he's kind issue, I guess, an issue with his liver at that point. I know that Nicole Meyer had been, did a gathering to get some donations to kind of help push him through, and everybody here knows Matthew at some point had met with him. So I just want to thank everybody who went out and wore green to the game to support, because that's Matthew's favorite color, as well as made donations to help support the family. And that is all.
Okay, thank you. We'll close council report, move on to mayor's report. I just had one thing this week. I'd just like to extend my condolences and from myself and from the city to the family of Mr. Ron Hood. He's a lifelong resident of the community, and he passed, I believe it was last Friday. And he served on our planning commission for many, many years, and he'll be greatly missed. So just, that's all I have this evening. So we'll move on to manager's report.
Just a couple things tonight. In addition, I don't know if council's aware of citizens in looking for Mr. Hood's obituary. I did come across, I believe a longtime resident, Mr. Vanderpool. Dayton Vanderpool passed away. He was a name that I was familiar with as just being a longtime Carlisle resident, so didn't know if anyone was aware of Mr. Vanderpool, or that he is gone. The fire department, Chief Holbrook has been very wonderfully persistent at pursuing any and all grant opportunities for the department. Council may recall that we have applied twice to a Firehouse Subs grant with this goal to get new thermal imaging cameras for the department. We were turned down for a second time. That has not deterred Chief Holbrook. In fact, he has found a non-matching equipment grant through the Ohio Fire Marshal's Office, Department of Commerce, and that he is applying for, so it requires no matching funds if it's awarded. It is a $15,000 max grant for equipment, of which he's requesting $13,760 for that thermal imaging camera. So he says the application deadline is January 31st, and he expects to hear news on that grant early this spring.
Is that the cost of one camera?
I have to check back through my notes.
Okay.
I believe his goal was to get 2 cameras, one for each vehicle, if I recall. But I need
Okay.
to clarify that with Chief Holbrook. And is my understanding that the joint grant with the fire department, with the city of Franklin and Franklin Township, with the city of Franklin taking the lead, has been submitted. We are looking at replacing all of our breathing units, 14 of them, through this grant if we're awarded. We believe the matching funds for the department will be 5%, which would be just over $6,000. There's a possibility that it could be up to a maximum of 10%, which is $12,000, which is still within the budgetary appropriation that Chief had put into his budget this year just to begin replacing the units one by one. So we do have that money set aside if we're awarded this grant. He does believe that it won't be until late spring, summer before the department's here if they are awarded. And the chiefs have already talked about reapplying for this grant next year if the departments aren't awarded this year. Their equipment still have useful life in it, and they would rather go for the joint grant again in 19. So we should have more updates on that this summer. And then one final thing, the CSX crossings will not be done. They have gone south for the winter, like the geese, I suppose. Their offices are out of Jacksonville, so I can't blame them for wanting to avoid Ohio weather. But we've been informed that they will be doing the crossings at some point, spring, fall. So you won't hear any updates for a while about them coming back into town, but I'm told they will be back into town to fix the crossings. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. We have no other business on our agenda this evening except for a work session. The work session is to discuss the Carlisle zoning code, including parking of recreational personal vehicles on residential and commercial property. So with that, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Ms. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mr. Bicknell?
Yes.
Mr. Humphries?
Yes.
Mr. McEldowney?
Yes.
Mayor Winkler?
Yes. We are adjourned.